All right, cool. Mo, over to you to kick us off.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Lovely to be here. Today, we have gathered to talk about how digital skills can help students be career ready. So, first and foremost, uh, a quick agenda for today. I'll begin with giving you an introduction to BSD education. Then I will hand over to my colleague, Eva, who will discuss what are digital skills, what are soft skills, as well as real world and authentic learning, and how can you sort of marry these worlds. Um, uh, I also, of course, want to welcome Eva to the webinar, who's our Director of Education at BSD. I'm Mo Qureshi, as Eva mentioned. I'm the Director of Partnerships. So I work closely with schools, governments, as well as educators across the world. So a little bit about BSD before we jump in. We are a global team of educators, entrepreneurs, and technologists who've come together to design, develop, and deliver programs to support teachers in bringing digital skills into the classroom. We focus on real impact, with our core always being by supporting teachers with engaging curriculum, an online learning platform, and teacher professional development training and coaching. You may also wonder what BSD stands for. I'll come to that in a moment. BSD stands for Build Something Different, and that's rooted in our ethos and values, where we want students as well as educators to use technology and digital skills to, of course, build something different. That could be websites, virtual experiences, artificial intelligence. It could be data sets, and sometimes it could just be experiences. And these experiences could also be VR experiences. It could be offline experiences. And we want to enable all teachers and students to be able to do that seamlessly, but also in a very real world and authentic manner. So that's all about BSD. I'll be more than happy to answer some more questions about BSD later on when we wrap up the webinar.
Thank you so much, Mo. So before we get started into the core content today, let me just give you a little introduction about myself. I am the Director of Education / Learning Experience at BSD, and I have a background in teaching and education. I used to teach English as a second language in Japan, and I was a media studies teacher at a school here in Hong Kong. My role at BSD right now, I oversee BSD teacher training and coaching. So as Mo said, we really put a lot of attention into supporting our teachers in the classroom. And from that, what that means for us is that we're able to gather a lot of feedback and work closely with our educators and industry experts to design our curriculum to make it better and to see what's the most relevant pieces of learning that should go into the classroom. What I also do at BSD is that I work with schools and our education partners globally to connect our learning portfolio into different frameworks, relevant education frameworks. And I had the pleasure of developing and leading the Careers Related Studies IBCP program that we have developed at BSD here for students 16 plus. So enough about me. Let's dive right into the content today. So how digital skills can help students to be career ready. First and foremost, let's start with the little piece of, I guess, history. I think many of you have come across this before, and seeing that, yes, we've talked about industrial revolutions across different centuries and period of time across history. First, it was steam engines, allowing more machinery to support the workforce. And then there's the second industrial revolution with electricity. And then now we're kind of in the third / fourth, would you say, Mo, industrial revolution? We're kind of in between the two right now. It's like 3.5, industrial revolution 3.5. And every stage we have worried about job loss as a society. And but instead, we should see it as an opportunity to refocus and upskill our communities and workforce that's needed. So here's an example of specifically looking at computer and information technology based on the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. I'm going to share a link here. It's just a handbook, really, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And in computer and information technology industry alone, there's a major job rise that's coming in the next 8 to 10 years. It's a huge 13% growth, which is faster than a lot of different industries and occupations out there. But I think what the main focus is really for us is that more often than not now that we find that when we're looking at different job opportunity websites and looking through LinkedIn even, maybe it's our algorithm, but but also that the more businesses are looking for engineers and software developers. Just as an example, right before the webinar, I went on the New York Times website. As you might know, New York Times is a daily newspaper, and they've been around since 1800s in the US. And surprise, surprise, the first 10 jobs is all tech skills and digital skills related. They were looking for digital sales representatives. They're looking for technical support representatives. They're looking for visual editors and audio engineers because they're no longer a newspaper agency. They're offering they have apps for their crosswords. They have podcasts that's linked because that's what's needed as technology is transforming very traditional industries. They're no longer just looking for journalists and reporters. They're looking for people to create tools and different mediums to offer different products and services. Mo, is that your experience as well with different job sites?
Yeah, that's very interesting that you pointed that out. It is. I was just earlier this week, I was speaking to a director of a hospital in India, and he was mentioning how in the hospital, only about 15% of the staff are actually doctors and nurses, and the remaining is all of the admin and ops staff, and a lot of it involves deep technology knowledge. It could be sales and marketing. It could be just all of the operations of ensuring that everything the hospital is working seamlessly. They've got so much of hardware and software technology for patients, and that becomes important. The other place, interestingly, where I saw an example recently, I was writing a blog, was Pandora, the jewelry company, and almost all of their jobs either are more computer science, programming oriented, or technology oriented. A very interesting job that they were hiring for is a employee experience manager. So because all of the employees are working from home, ensuring that their overall experience at working in the company is seamless across their different digital platforms.
That's so interesting. Like I was thinking like, oh, Pandora might be like, oh, apps for like maybe trying on jewelry, like VR and AR, but that's also very interesting in terms it's shifting how human resources is presented now and represented now in different businesses too. But I think one very immediate one that I have seen recently, I don't know about the other countries, but in Hong Kong, a lot of the, for example, janitors and cleaning staff in malls now, they have been replaced by little cleaning robots. And their jobs have changed. Like, it's not that they're not there anymore, but they're actually there to facilitate the robot a little bit. They're there to like program some of the, making sure that the robot's running properly. They're no longer doing the labor. They're actually facilitating and operating the cleaning robot. So that's something pretty cool that I've noticed recently. So what are digital skills? There's actually so many out there. And I think quite often schools come to us and they're like, okay, digital skills, we need computer science, we need kids coding, we need kids programming to use this and use that tool. But what does it actually mean? I think there's so many definitions out there. This one from IGI Global resonated the most with us, is that digital skills are defined as skills to use digital devices, communication applications, and networks to access, manage, and exploit information. They enable individuals to produce and share digital content, communicate and collaborate, and solve problems for effective and creative self-fulfillment in life, learning, work, and wider social activities. You might look at it and be like, where's programming? Where's coding? Where's all of that? That's kind of been wrapped up into like digital use of digital devices and networks. All of that is actually interrelated as well. So actually kind of taking the definition apart a little bit, as you can see here, the definition highlights a mixture of hard skills and soft skills, but really it's leaning towards soft skills. So this means that via digital skills and tools, students are able to learn and truly be ready to tap into their soft skills to see how they can apply the digital skills and see how they can apply the hard skills. So soft skills are really important for career readiness. And we here at BSD, we truly believe that by learning digital skills, by becoming creators rather than simply consumers of technology, you can develop a lot of these great soft skills. And here's our list: empathy, emotional intelligence, kindness, mindfulness, adaptability, integrity, optimism, self-motivation, grit, resilience. Here are just our list of soft skills that we have pulled out. I'm sure your school has identified some too. Often you can find them in the kind of school philosophy and pedagogy as well, and vision to what the goal is for student learning at a particular organization or institute. But why are soft skills so important? And because robots can't feel. I mean, sometimes the robots are designed so that it almost feels like they have emotions, but essentially they're the way that they're operating is just algorithm. And for a lot of jobs coming up, it really requires students to tap into a lot of these soft skills, such as empathy, mindfulness, adaptability, and resilience to be successful. So at BSD, we design our learning to nurture care. So care, of course, is something really important as part of the soft skills, but also it's actually one of our acronyms. So C stands for curiosity, A, adaptability, R, resilience, and E, empathy. So we believe that without curiosity, adaptability, resilience, and empathy, the hard skills are not meaningful. You don't know what to do with them. It's great, you know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but what can you do with it? So digital skills to us is how students can show up creatively to solve problems, get involved with what is in their circles and community of the world. So let's talk about how this looks like in the classroom. So as we mentioned, we have a giant list of hard and soft skills along with standards we need to meet in the classroom. So how do we help students develop these skills and meet the standards, and all the while keeping them engaged in the classroom? And we really lean on and really truly believe in real world learning. So what is real world learning? Mo, what do you think real world learning is? What does it mean to you?
To me, I think it is something which is authentic, something which is giving the connection to what's happening outside the four walls of the classroom, as well as something that equips me or the students to navigate life. That could be personal life as well as professional life. But I think the key for me has always been that authenticity.
Yeah, I love that, and I 100% agree. So here's a definition from Digital Promise: is that real world learning is an approach to learning that involves schools working with the community partners and industry experts to engage students in authentic, relevant problems and projects, and experience that develop career awareness and readiness. So what really jumps out to me here is, yes, Mo, authenticity in the learning, and relevance. I think that is another really important piece, um, because more often than not, the students would start asking why. Why are we learning this? Why is it important? What am I going to use it um, for example, back in the days in math class, I would sit there and be like, when am I going to use algebra? Like, I'm doing all these exercises. How does it apply to the real world? No one really told me. And I wish I knew like how it was used, and how it connects to the real world. And that would make me feel so much more engaged, with math, because math is pretty cool. So, um, Mo, drawing from your own schooling, what were some lessons that you still remember today?
There are a few of them. I think the big ones, I'll be honest, were uh, outside the classroom. So a lot of the memorable ones tend to be sports. So I love playing football or going hiking. So that's definitely been memorable. The other ones, in primary school, I vividly remember my computer science lessons. At that time, there was something called Logo, where you could create these different kinds of artwork and shapes and color patterns on the screen using some commands. And then also the art and craft lessons, where we got like a bunch of tools and resources, and you could create things. Finally, the fourth one I would say that I really enjoyed was going to the library. So I don't know if this is the same for all schools, but in one of those schools, and I went to multiple schools since my parents are moving throughout my school life. Is one of the schools that we went to, they had a dedicated weekly library period. So for 1 hour or 90 minutes every day, you would actually go to the library. You would spend time there browsing through books, and then you could borrow one to two books. So I really enjoyed that, because once again, it was not something which was part of the curriculum, and I could just explore and go on my own.
Awesome. So I think especially like when all the examples that you pulled up, it really links closely with the benefits here, of real world learning. Real world learning really is student centered learning. It's an opportunity for students to explore, and even just the act of choosing your own books from the library. It's empowerment. It's kind of self initiated learning, and the craft class, of course, and it encourages creativity. So by infusing real world learning experiences into your classroom, that can really enhance the engagement. And by doing that, um, you help students connect and develop their problem solving skills and critical thinking and planning, and also time management. And I remember my school also had the library period. Um, the You're empowered, but at the same time, you need to manage your time, because you might only have the 10 minutes before you have 10 minutes to 5 to 10 minutes to pick your book, and then you have to sit down and start reading. So, but those are the times that I feel connected to what I'm learning, because I'm not told like I have to read 1984 by George Orwell. I could pick a book about ballet or anything that I'm interested in to learn about. Um, and I think we have all been there. For me, it's also chemistry and history. It never clicked in school. Now that I understand how it's relevant and the real world connection, for example, chemistry has with the beauty industry, I tell my husband, like, I wish I knew like skincare had to do with chemistry. I wish someone told me um, that it was an option. Then I would feel a lot more engaged in my learning. So in the next few slides, in the next section, I just wanted to share with you, it was more of our anecdotal experience with our own post-16 program, Tech Future. in how real world learning and digital skills came together for the students in the classroom. So this is our BSD digital skills progression. Beginner usually starts around grade 3 and 4 for us, moving on to intermediate and advanced. So as you can see, at the beginning, it's quite hard skill based. So we're looking at HTML, CSS, building literacy for the students in terms of text-based coding. And then eventually we kind of shape the learning more into themes and topics around business development and video game design, user interface design and entrepreneurship and marketing and AI and user experience and so on. So this learning journey, so through each of these learning themes, we infuse citizenship and industry connection into the learning. The key here is that this is not a computer science progression, but a digital skills progression. So what we're trying to highlight here is that just as language literacy, like English and maybe learning Chinese or Spanish or anything is a window to understanding different cultures, digital skills literacy allows students the opportunity to explore how they can leverage technology to enhance whatever they choose to pursue. So that's our main goal here. And tying back to our own curriculum, we're trying to bring in the real world transferable digital technology skills to create a project-based curriculum to allow that real work experience to come through. So how does that actually look like and how do we break that down? So for our post-16 learning, we developed our program by collaborating with industry experts. We pulled together and identified the core skill areas that you see over here in the blue box that we want our students to develop by the end of the two-year program. So their programming skills, digital marketing skills, data, and design. The reason being is that we then connect these core skills across different industry themes. So some students may not have considered that, oh, how does banking and programming relate? Or how does data and agriculture relate? So the activities that are designed are based on relevant and real life activities that happen within these industries. And we take a look and we take this opportunity to bring in industry standard tools as well for the learning. So in the following slides, I want to share with you how we have broken down the learning to what we have experienced to be really exciting and effective results from the students. So we kickstart the learning by giving the students an opportunity to, I think this is really important, to demystify technology. To say like technology is not just for computer science, people who want to pursue computer science. And we define digital skills together. And I often ask them, what does digital skills actually mean for them and how they connect with it? The key is for students to come out understanding that these skill areas and topic areas is actually, they're actually surrounded by it in their everyday lives, and it appears in so many different career areas. Just like, for example, the great example that Mo has given with hospitals. If you're working in a hospital, it doesn't mean you're a doctor. Only 15% of the staff are actually doctors and nurses. There's so many other skills and digital skills that come in to support the operations of, say, the hospital. And we do that through, we take the first unit to establish that. Then we build the foundations of design skills and design thinking skills for the students. Because what we found is that the understanding of UI and UX, everyone might not end up becoming a UI and UX designer, user interface and user experience designer, but understanding how to plan out a project, understanding how to present our work and how do we communicate through design is really important. So if they go into the workplace, even like throughout the 2-year experience with our students, their PowerPoint slides have drastically become a lot better. because that's a skill that we want to develop in them. It's communication and both PowerPoint tool creation skills. So the communication is really important is because how you design and present each slide really affects how your audience receives the message. So we take this opportunity to bring and nurture those skills together. And programming is another one, kind of our bread and butter at BSD for HTML and CSS. We use this as an opportunity for students to understand how to program an e-commerce website, but also to understand how this relates to how this supports businesses in an entrepreneurial sense. When is an e-commerce website used? Why is it used? How is that connected to, say, digital marketing? While along, we're looking at database management as well. So it's a lot of learning and connecting as we're going along. So in the following slides, here's some student work that came out from the program. In the following slides, you'll be seeing a lot of skateboarding, but that's because the students' passion area was skateboarding. But this is a great opportunity for us to see how skateboarding to them can become more than just a hobby. A lot of the times when I introduce these projects, I'm like, yeah, just tap into your passion area. And they're like, can I do skateboarding? And then of course I'll be like, yes. But they're like, oh, I just thought skateboarding is something that I do after school. Like how can I do it? How can I infuse that into the digital skills classroom? So design thinking actually plays a big role through the learning. And as you see in this example here, the students created a skateboarding academy in their local neighborhood. And because they have identified that there is a gap and is a challenge to actually get into skateboarding because it can be quite intimidating, as there's a big culture kind of connecting with it. And quoting the student is that the younger kids always feel really intimidated to ask the older kids to teach them. So they're like, oh, maybe we can leverage website technology to build a website to advertise a skateboarding school for kids. And it became a little business for them over, I think, their winter break last year. In the digital marketing unit, the students got to explore again. They went back to skateboarding industry approaches and to explore how they can approach digital marketing and how the industry actually approaches marketing. And they learn different tools for marketing like blogs and using social media like Instagram. So just last week, our graduating student who will be starting university in London emailed me and told me that over the summer she had started a web design mini agency with the other students of the program. And they have been doing small projects over the summer holidays and will continue to use the skills that they have learned to kind of use it as a way to make some money while they're in university. And I guess the key takeaway here is that by allowing students to realize the relevance of digital skills in their world, we want to help them to go beyond their daily roles as consumers of media and technology and really allow them to leverage this skill and to realize that their worldview, leaning on their worldview and skills, they can create and solve for their communities in whichever career path or industry they choose to be in. So going back to our first graduating cohort, students went on not to do computer science, not become like software engineers, but they have chosen career paths in music production and graphic design. And digital skills are present in those areas as well. As music production, you're using music production software and also hardware at the same time. And also graphic design, you're designing. It's a lot of digital design now that is happening in industries. So I think, again, the key takeaway is that digital skills help students become career ready because it's a pathway, it's an avenue to help develop the soft skills that can help them become adaptable and ready for any kind of career they choose, or any kind of situations that they may come across. So I hope you enjoyed the content here today. If you have any questions, do let us know through the chat box as well. I'm going to pass it over to Mo to kind of share how some free projects that we have at CFD.
Cool. Thank you, Eva. Really wonderful presentation and sharing. So for educators and all participants, if you'd like to explore further on how to bring digital skills into the classroom, we have a range of free projects which are accessible on our online learning platform, which is app.bsd.education, and we'll share the link of that shortly within the chat. If we can move to the next slide. Yes, thank you. Within the free projects, you've got a sort of a mixed bag of different content, from web development to creating games and various other interactive projects. With this, if you're an educator, you can also sign up for BSD Start, which gives you access to one teacher account and 30 free student accounts. With that, you get 4 hours of content, so you can create your own virtual classroom. You can run this with your students, and if we hope that of course you enjoy that, and if you want, you can move to it's like a single teacher subscription, which gives you 100 hours of content. And if you're a school, you also get 600 plus hours of content. So a lot of the schools that work with us, we collaborate with them to create full progressions. That could be from grade 3 to 12, or sometimes it could be specific grades. It could be just 7, 8, 9 for middle school. That all comes with teacher training. Our teacher training is certified by the CPD Standards Institute in the UK, as well as our curriculum is accredited by Digital Promise, certifying that it is an authentic and research-based digital skills curriculum. We work with close to 200 schools globally. So a lot of them enjoy and build projects, and we've seen some examples of what students have created. So I'd encourage all of you to try out the projects, share what you and your students create, as well as if you've got more questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you with it. 2 interesting projects, actually 3 of them. If you're looking at exploring about AI, we've got a project called Image Classifier, where you can train the AI algorithm on what kind of image it is and to identify and classify it. Students at a young age, actually all ages, have role models or people who motivate and inspire them. So we've got a really cool website called People Who Inspire Me. This is open for all age groups, and they learn how to create a website with HTML and CSS coding languages, and then share stories about people who inspire them, why they inspire them, and then of course publish this to the internet. And finally, children love making games. Quizzes and quiz games are a rage and have been a rage for as far as I can recall. So we also have a trivia game maker that you can create. And oh, sorry. And we'd love to get your feedback about this webinar. What you enjoyed about it, what you would like to see next time. We are running webinars every month with new topics. And if there's a topic that you would really want us to talk about, we'd be happy to include that in our future webinars. So that's all from me. I'm going to pass it to Eva for any closing remarks.
Great, thank you. All right, so let's jump into Q&A. Let's see if there's any questions here. All right. Oops. All right, cool. So we have a question here. In which grade should students start learning more digital skills? Cool. Mo, I think you talked to a lot of schools. And what would you usually recommend?
Really good question. With what I've seen as a range for introduction of digital skills, most schools are introducing the skills and the hands-on learning in about between grade 3 to 5. That's when we see the introduction happen and digital devices introduced. But before that, in grades 1 to 3, schools are introducing some of the prerequisites for that. Things like computational thinking, things like logic, things like sequencing. So all of these could be offline computational thinking activities, and then introduce devices. And I think that's also great. We know when from a child development perspective, the younger ages is better for them to move around, limit the screen time, explore outside. And then once they've built all of the essential skills, then introduce the devices gradually. And then, of course, within that, there's a whole range of skills that you could begin with. First and foremost, design and computational thinking, logic. Also, another one which becomes important is some introduction to digital citizenship. Understanding what is the world around us, how does the internet work, and how to be responsible citizens and creators on the internet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Mo. And I think more and more, like, we cannot run away, or we cannot, I guess some parents try to protect their students from the technology. It's impossible. They see the phones in our hands, um, they see the devices that we use for work around us. For example, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she knows how to charge the iPad. She knows how to uncharge, like she knows how to plug it in, take the plug off, and she finds her way through her own apps. She knows what to click on. So what we're trying to do with her, like at a really early stage for digital skills learning, is really about responsible device use as well. So we'll tell her, like, okay, after however many games or however many times, like, it's time to put the device away, or we make sure that it's at a safe distance. Like, so we're trying to start that way in some very, I guess, more practical and physical sense. And there's actually a lot of great apps and games out there also for children, and which help build computational skills and design thinking skills. And yeah, it's a really interesting space, I would say, for early childhood development as well. Let's see if there's any other questions. Does this only apply to tech-related fields? So no, digital skills is everywhere, we would say, isn't it? So a lot of us actually at BSD, we don't come from a technical background, but we are working with technology every day, and exploring what we can do with technology every day as well. Mo, what's your day-to-day like with technology use?
So in my day-to-day role here at BSD, it's heavily on tech. Basically, I work remote, so a lot of meetings. I use a range of tools day to day. So there's the entire Google Suite. There's of course Gmail, Google Docs, Sheets, etc. Then I use Slack and Zoom, and sometimes Google Meet for communication internally and externally, and then Asana for task management. and then of course some other tools like Salesforce, etc. That's just in work life. Beyond that, then there's of course communications, staying in touch with friends and family, entertainment, so Netflix, HBO, etc. And of course, a lot of banking and life organization. And I see a similar trend in the people that I work with. So teachers regularly. I recently read a post on LinkedIn who's with a teacher who's a close connection of mine, which was talking about how a lot of teachers now are managing their life using a tool called Notion. So a lot of technology is being infused into everyone's daily life, and sometimes it's just seamless. It's frictionless, and that's when I think about the work that we do, is that showcases the importance of design. When you have that frictionlessness, someone has thought about the entire design and the experience and ensured that you don't even feel that you're moving from one experience to another experience.
Yeah, and I think adaptability, and of course, I think grit really comes through when it comes to applying your digital skills, and then understanding some of the transferable skills that come in when you're encountering a new tool for work or in school or any situation. So I think by exposing our kids to digital skills and technology at a young age, it develops that grit. It develops that. I think sometimes the transferable skills, sometimes they seem to happen quite naturally, but also I think it's important for us to sometimes explicitly highlight that to our students as well. It's like, oh, you see like what you can do in Notion with knowledge management. Oh, you might have done that already in Google Docs. Like, see how you can use formatting tools the same way here. Like, yeah. So there's a lot of great opportunities out there to learn about different tools and digital skills. So I am aware of time here. We are finishing right on the dot today, which is great. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the topic for today and our discussion. And like we said, please leave feedback if you have a chance. And this webinar will be available on YouTube. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for being such a great co-host, Mo.
Thank you, Eva, and thank you everyone for attending the webinar. And hopefully we'll see you at our next one. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.